any way that we can do a much longer term agreement with them?
Well, I think it can be, but I think there's a couple of factors that are knocking on that idea, and that is one, the fact that the existing shelter is scheduled to be closed, as you all know, December 31st of next year, 2012. There are still some other issues that the mayor has been conducting meetings with both the Navy authorities, with WAIF, obviously, and with Forest City in terms of once that shelter, if it does in fact close at the end of next year, where will the shelter go? And if it's located elsewhere, will the seaplane, the Navy for the seaplane base, and Forest City in terms of the housing units, will they still want to contract with the city for animal control and shelter services? So I think that those things, and then in addition to probably the necessity, and I'm not sure if this is a legal necessity, but at least it's been discussed, maybe putting out a call for bids of some sort, just to be fair, to make sure that anyone else out there might want to be interested in bidding for this contract. I'm not aware of any, but so I think it's those factors combined that we would have to look at in terms of a multi-year contract.
And I think one thing that we should be looking at is what's the possibility of, instead of trying to create our own shelter here locally, work with those at WAIF and in reference to the new shelter, as they indicated that that can be done if they know long term what what we're going to be asking of them. But I approve the contract this evening. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley. Mr. Severance.
Thank you, Mayor. No questions, but I'll entertain a motion when it's time.
Okay, come back to you, Mr. Almbert.
How many animals are processed each month through this?
As I recall from the reports that were provided, there was 30 dogs and quite a few more cats. And now that varies from month to month.
Do you have an average? I'm just really kind of curious.
Boy, I'd be reaching for it to be a real off-the-wall guess.
50?
But I can get you that information.
You know, the reason I bring that up is even if it's 50, that comes out to what? $141 per animal per call?
Well, I think it's probably more accurate to look at it in the context of capability of housing 1 to 100 animals at any given time, and the responsibility that goes with that care and monitoring of those animals that are in the shelter, again, whether there's 1 or 150 of the animals. I think that's where the real cost comes in. It's not a per animal type cost association. It's the overall care and feeding and protection of these animals that are in our custody and then later in the custody of WAIF.
But any event over a 12-month period, it comes out to $85,000.
It is.
And maybe that's a good reason for having a one-year contract, so that maybe we can look at some efficiencies with WAIF once we know what the Navy's going to do with that building. Because as I understand, we even house or manage some animals even outside the city limits. Is that correct?
That has happened on a very rare occasion, and there's usually a reason behind it: quarantine, socialization of the animals.